All right, so welcome back again to AssetVerse. Now we started the recording. So let's talk about the current landscape. As I already mentioned just now, is regarding the crypto market is still very volatile and it's overheating. And a lot of traders actually kill themselves if, let's say, you read on the news, professional traders, all right? Because why? Suddenly the Bitcoin dropped. So a lot of people lose a lot of money, billions of dollars is disappeared from the market. So this is the current situation in the crypto space on Web3. So that's why a lot of institutions are thinking or even already starting to actually move into the RWA sector, which have a tangible asset like what we are talking about here. So let's define what real world asset is. So real world asset means that there will be a tangible asset with registrable, meaning you can register it under a company, or you can basically under a SPV, meaning what do you call it? SPV, special purpose vehicle. And all the asset have a registrable value, meaning like real estate. Imagine a house, there will be a value of 400,000, let's say the Pattaya condotel. So this is how real world asset means when we talk about real world asset. So we can see that currently now a lot of institutions are trying to tokenize real world asset, and basically it creates an opportunity for ownership rights and also to put all the real world asset on chain. Okay, so basically the benefits here is, of course, accessibility. Secondly, transparency. And the best thing is, when we talk about real world asset or maybe real estate, so we would think that, oh, I need to own the whole unit by myself. But here, through Web3 and through the, how to say, on-chain, we can literally create a new form of ownership, meaning it's fractional participation, meaning that you do not need to own the whole unit by yourself, but you can own partial of the unit. So what's inside RWA? So we can basically have a look at here. Of course, there's way more, but today we are talking about real estate. So in real estate, it comes in like commercial form, meaning that either a shopping mall, shop lots, that's what we call commercial. Hospitality, meaning the condotel that you have seen in Pattaya, and for residential, meaning that the house to stay. All right. And there's also another type of real asset that AssetVerse is going into, which is land. Okay, when we talk about land, doesn't mean that only for agriculture. It actually can be also a development plot, meaning that a plot of land which we can actually create or even develop a building on top of the land. And through, basically, we can also have a strategic holding through SPV, so special purpose vehicle. So other than that, other tangibles as assets such as infrastructure and long-term lease. Example, if let's say a concert hall, a place that we can create a rave party, things like that. So those places are also considered as real asset. And if let's say you have heard, you guys are from CIH or even the core, you guys have heard that we have mentioning why we choose Southeast Asia. All right. So if let's say you guys still remember our presentation slides, I remember yesterday one of the core partners give me a phone call, I would say, or maybe a Zoom call. Yes, a Zoom call. So we were in a Zoom call and they were mentioning, hey, last time you guys tell us that in the 80s, the money is flowing to real estate. So that's why JP Morgan, BlackRock, all these institutions become so huge, right? So then in the 2000s, all the money is flowing into Web 2. Web 2 meaning that the internet space like Google, like Facebook, and currently now the money is definitely flowing into Web 3 space. But why are we basically going back to basically talk about real estate? So if let's say today, if we are choosing a real estate from the Western world, example like Europe or even from the US, we might not have the same opportunity because why? The whole market is actually very saturated. And currently now the whole market in Europe, especially in European countries, are very slow. So there's not much development going on. And that's why there's not much gain that we can get from, because why? We already passed that era. But when we talk about Southeast Asia, then it's a total different story. Okay, we might not be able to become BlackRock in US or even in Europe, but we can become another new BlackRock but in the Southeast Asia region. Why Southeast Asia? You can see that Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, all these countries are all young. They have a lot of young population. Most of the people in the world actually live in Asia. If let's say you can go online and check on it. So, and for the Southeast Asia region, there's a lot of young population and rising middle class, meaning that people are earning more and more money. So meaning that the spending power is increased, meaning that there will be a huge growth in the real estate category. So we can see that in a lot of countries in Southeast Asia, you can see that there's a lot of rapid urbanization and also infrastructure investment. So you can see that a lot of countries are actually pumping in money towards the Southeast Asia region to actually build ports and things like that. And this will bring a very strong growth potential versus the developed markets. Okay, so meaning I already explained just now. So let's look at real asset pain points. When we talk about real asset, when we talk about real estate, the traditional way, first, it will have a very high capital cost, meaning that if let's say you want to buy a house, it will be super expensive unless you take a loan from the bank. But if not, not much people, I would say that not much people can directly afford a unit with all cash. So it basically create a threshold and also make it a very limited access, meaning not to everyone. And as I begin my speech just now, so I'm talking about real asset. There's also another issue because it's very hard to liquid. Okay, when we talk about asset that is so expensive, normally it's like this. If let's say you want to sell real estate, you can take your own sweet time to sell. Then yes, you might basically get a very good price. But if let's say you're in a rush, okay, most of the time you will lose a lot of money because why? Because when you're in a hurry, people will try to negotiate a better option for them to actually enter. So sometimes it's very hard to liquid the units and it will have a very slow exit options. So meaning that if you buy a house, imagine you own a condotel, if let's say you really want to sell it off, yes, you will be able to, but you are also at the same time competing together with the developers and other owners as well. So this creates a very unhealthy situation for people who really need to basically liquidate their real asset. And one last part when we talk about real asset, because there's not many billionaire in this world, put it this way. So when we wanted to buy a real world asset, there's a lot of consideration comes to play. Imagine if let's say you choose Thailand. Yes, Thailand is definitely a good place to be, and also a very friendly country, and they are also very crypto friendly. That's also a good thing. But one thing when we talk about real world asset, meaning like a real estate, because you can't bring it home with you. Okay, that unit needs to stay there at that particular country. So this basically it creates an exposure that tied to only one country or either one developer. This is also another issue that traditional RWA pinpoints is meeting. All right. So let's look at Thailand. Although Thailand now, okay, Thailand and beyond, meaning that other than Thailand, more and more countries in the Southeast Asia region are actually going hard on Web3. So maybe that they are going into Web3, but we can see that Thailand is now legalizing digital asset. But nonetheless, when we talk about government, right? So policy may shift. Currently now they're accepting what do you call that? Digital assets like cryptocurrency. Good thing. It's good for us, especially all of us here from the Web3 space. Just an example of Thailand legalizing cannabis. Okay, cannabis plantation. Yes, they did that a few years back in 2018. And by last year, they suddenly stopped everything. Everything became illegal. But recently, they shift back again, and now everything is illegal again. So this is my point, all right? Because why? If let's say we only stick with one country, we might face a risk whereby any shift from the policy from the government, it will affect, the value of the assets. And with a multi-jurisdiction, meaning that we go for not only in Thailand, example just now, the whole region in the Southeast Asian market. This will basically reduce the regulatory exposure by anchoring registration and managing every asset through a local SPV per country. Meaning what? That we can set up a holding companies in multiple countries to hold on to all this asset rather than just putting all our egg into one basket and invest into one country. All right. So basically, this will be continuous legal review. It will help us to ensure our adaptability. And currently now, this is the first version of the presentation deck. There will be an updated version very soon. Currently now, we are waiting for the lawyers from multiple countries to give us how to say what we can share and what we will be able to share with our community. And we will have a whole how to say data flow on how everything works and how everything is put into place. Okay, that will be also shared with you guys in the very near future. So currently now we are waiting for the lawyers, the legal team to actually give us the green light, and we already sent the proposal to them and waiting for their feedback. Okay, so when we talk about projects like this will involve a huge amount of capital, all right, to basically own real estate. So how do we de-risk in this situation? Okay, first, as I already mentioned, we diversify across multiple countries and different asset types. Example, we will go into factories, we will go into condotels, we will go into or what do you call that, shop lots, and a lot of different categories and asset type will help us to decrease our risk rather than just put all the egg into one basket. And plus, the best thing is we can basically do diversification across multiple regions, okay, multiple countries. And second thing is, you can see with the help of Web3, so you do not need to actually own a unit by yourself. So this will greatly decrease the risk as well. And with fractionalized ownership, you can spread all the risk across, not only on one person or on one particular real estate. And with the strong governance of the local due diligence, meaning that our legal team in different regions, they are doing their due diligence job regarding the how to say the pricing and the value of those assets. So this is the birth of AssetVerse. And with AssetVerse, actually it's connecting a network of high value assets across the whole Southeast Asia region. It helps to basically enable participation through a fractional access model. All right, a fractional access model meaning that now you don't need to own a unit by yourself, but you can actually own a piece of it. All right, and this combines a traditional real estate or property value with value, actual value, into Web3. Because why? Web3 is very efficient. So that's why it's combining both, best of both worlds. Okay. And I did mention regarding the ownership myth that most people believe in, because wanted to own a unit, it will be super expensive. You might even need hundreds of thousands or even millions to actually own a set of real estate portfolio. Okay. And when we talk about real estate, if you want to buy a real estate in other region or even other country, most probably you need to apply for a visa. Then only you can actually own a full unit by yourself, because without a visa, that will also be another issue. And there will be so many, what they call that, paperwork that you need to get done before you can officially own a unit. And with what we are talking about here, participation is making possible because of why? Because we can do fractionalization so that everyone can actually participate in a smaller tickets. Okay. So let's look at what fractional access model is. So it's giving us, everyone here, an access of a fraction of an asset pool. All right. Not only just one single property. This greatly decreases the risk, because why? If you are getting involved not only on one particular real estate, on one particular region or even particular country, because now it's a pool of asset from multiple regions. That's why no matter what happened to one particular country, it will not affect the whole pool. Okay. And when we talk about fractionalization, and I believe the design here basically already shows you what fractionalized mean, that you can imagine this house and you can basically own just one piece of it rather than owning the whole thing. So with the fractionalized access model, this basically helped us we can basically gain broader participation and reduce market manipulation by whales. Meaning you can see that sometimes a lot of institutions, they go into getting a real estate at a very low cost. Why? Because they bulk purchase. And right after that, sometimes they will dump the real estate price. And that will greatly affect the value of the real estate. Another scenario, if let's say we talk about one person owning one unit as one of the what do you call that example that I gave you guys just now. Imagine if let's say you own a condo hotel by yourself in Thailand. Congratulations. But when you want to liquidate it, you will need to basically compete with the developers and you need to compete with other owners. Okay. And if let's say someone is basically pressure sell, or meaning that they need cash flow, so they wanted to sell it as quickly as possible. So what do? They reduce the market price. So when they reduce the market price, it actually creates a ripple effect that will affect the actual value of the real estate. So, but today, if let's say with the fractionalized model, meaning that everyone just own a piece, right? You don't own the whole thing. So when you own a piece, meaning that you can actually, if you need liquidation, you can liquidate this one small piece. It's way easier to liquidate, let's say, a 10,000 worth of digital asset, rather than 400,000 worth of real asset. So with the fractionalized access model, as I mentioned just now, you can actually have a secondary transfer, meaning that currently now I own one piece. And from this piece, if let's say I wanted to actually transfer it to other people, let's say I need some money, I need liquidation. So I can actually sell my NFT, the digital assets, to the next person, and the next person will be the owner of that fractionalized piece. Okay. And with AssetVerse, the one thing that it creates is actually anti-whale design. Okay, so this basically gives all the holders a decentralized ownership, and this helps prevents the price control, as I already mentioned just now, so that nobody can actually dump the price for the actual asset itself, so that it can actually help to propel or even increase the value of the real estate. So, and with the fractionalized model, so the governance and transfer policy ensure stability, because why? You can transfer the NFT by not affecting the actual value of the real estate. And because it's on Web3, so that's why it will be transparent reporting, and it will help to actually align all the community incentive as well. So the transparent reporting, because on AssetVerse, they are going to show you the report on a monthly basis. Currently now, that's what they set. So they might increase it to maybe bi-weekly meaning every 2 weeks. So depending on the market. All right. So they are going to basically also, this time for AssetVerse, they are going to pass us an SPA. So all the SPA that they actually acquire all these units. So this greatly help to show the transparency of AssetVerse itself. And this also prove that every AssetVerse avatar, or even an NFT in the near future, have an asset that's backing up the real estate, the NFT and the digital asset. Okay, this is something very unique towards AssetVerse. And we can see that here how AssetVerse is actually creating a value retention philosophy, meaning that it will help to maintain the value. So real value actually grows when holders can hold through cycle. Okay, so when you panic sell, or you are pressure sell, or maybe that you need cash quickly and you are trying to liquidate whatever asset that you have, even Rolex watches, when you are in a rush, there will be good prices. Okay, so meaning that if let's say you really will be able to hold it through the whole cycle, then yes, that's how real value is created. Panic selling will destroy all the values, and holding it will actually build wealth. But nonetheless, if let's say you need to liquidate, you can actually just transfer the NFT. So that's how you can liquidate as quickly as possible. And with a diversified fractional access structure, this encourages resilience, meaning that no one person can destroy the market value for all of us. Okay, so this is also a safe space in Web3. Why would I say that? Because why in Web3, we know that cryptocurrency are very volatile and there's a lot of speculation in the market. That's the reason why it's overheating now. So with an asset-backed access towards a real estate and then packed together with NFT or the digital asset that you will be owning. So this creates a beacon, all right, for all users across the world, including the users from Entry DAO, to actually have an anchor. All right, this is actually something like an anchor for your crypto exposure to a real world asset, to a real estate. And other than that, AssetVerse fractionalized access model creates trust and stability in Web3. How does it do that? Because it comes with real world asset. It comes with real estate, with actual real value. So it literally acts as a bridge between the digital world, and also it gives the digital world a tangible value. So let's look at how developers actually earn money here. All right. So of course, different region and different markets, the building cost, it might go up or down, depending on what kind of building you're what kind of development that you're building. So, but this is basically a ballpark figure in context, how a developer earns money. We know that a lot of developers are earning huge ton of money, but how do they make money? But actually, a lot of people doesn't know. When a developer started launching early bird packages, that's when the public rushed towards their showroom and try to grab the cheapest that they can get. But actually, that's all marketing stunt. But for a developer, actually, what they're earning is their building cost is about 30% of their actual selling price. Okay, and then they will basically park another 5 to 10% depending as a marketing fee, or you can say that as a commission for the real estate agents. And have you ever wondered, all right, real estate agencies, they have the owners, they have the managers, and they have like the supervisors, and they have like the real estate agents, all right? So if let's say a real estate agent is earning about 1.5 to about 2.5, even 3%, depending on what kind of property that is, then where did the money comes from to actually pay towards the supervisor, the manager, or even the agency themselves? So basically, the agency actually get a way, way higher cut. All right. So only the real estate agents get one small portion from it. And most of the time, all developers retain about 60 to 70% of gross margin. All right. So this understanding about this format, it basically will inform you about AssetVerse strategy. So let's look at AssetVerse strategy. On the first phase itself, what AssetVerse is going to do and what AssetVerse is currently now doing is going for bulk purchase, meaning that before the developer make money, all right, they already built the building, before they started make money, before they finish selling 30%, that's the best time to actually go in for the bulk purchase. Why? When the developer already make back their cost, most of the time they won't be giving you a lot of discount. Why? Because they don't need to. They already basically gain back everything that they need to. But if let's say they are still below the 30% threshold, and that's the point that AssetVerse comes in. All right. So AssetVerse will acquire prime asset at a negotiated terms, meaning that we will go in to bulk purchase before the developer started making money, and that's how we can get the best price from the market. And a lot of real estate agents outside in the market, they are waiting for projects that can provide them good margin, then they will sell the project. Very simple. So with that, AssetVerse will also help to fractionalize within the fractionalized access model for small ticket access, meaning that everyone can be part of AssetVerse by just owning a very small ticket rather than owning the whole unit. And this will help to generate initial cash flow via commission and rebates from the developer. Okay. So on phase two, AssetVerse is going to transition into a co-developer. Okay, meaning that rather than just bulk purchasing the units from the developer, now on the second phase, AssetVerse is going in as a support financially and collaborate with existing developers that have multiple years of experience in this field. So let's look at the illustrative profit logic here. 30% is the cost, as we already established. So we let the developer earns the 40%, because why? We come in with community, we come in with capital. So we become a co-developer, and AssetVerse will gain another 30% of profit, or you can say that this is how AssetVerse is going to create profit in the second phase. So you can see that with this, it will create a larger pipeline and also to standardize all the governance, increase returns. As you can see now, instead of just earning from the price difference, now we get to basically share a piece of the pie together with the developer. And when we talk about phase 3, instead of just becoming a co-developer, now on phase 3 itself, AssetVerse will be more than capable with all the experience throughout the second phase to become not only a developer in one country, but it became a developer of the whole region. Okay, so becoming a developer operator across Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and more, including Philippines as well. So this will actually capture the full margin. Okay, as we already established just now, 30% is the cost and 70% that will be the margin. All right. Let's say we need to basically give out 5 to 10%, 60% would be the margin. It's a very good deal. So this will actually, you can see that how AssetVerse is actually bringing the fractionalized access model framework to play. So, and then we will build and operate our own asset with a regional teams that is managing the asset. So let's look at the time frame here. So this project, AssetVerse, is actually set to go for a very long time, because why? When we talk about real estate, it's not like today you buy real estate and tomorrow you just flip it and you sell it tomorrow. That's not how it works. So on the first phase itself, it's going to take about 1 to 2 years. So on first phase, this is how the initial assets access setup, meaning that they are going to basically get bulk purchase a lot of asset and put it into the pool through the special purpose vehicle. And on the third towards the fourth year, this is going into the second phase, because during that time, on the third to fourth year, AssetVerse, based on their study and also based on their projection, that time they will have a lot of asset in their hand that's sitting in the pool, and at the same time, they are more than capable to actually support or even co-develop a development together with a developer. So this will be on the second phase. And on the third phase itself, the actual purpose of AssetVerse being born is because, other than creating a fractionalized model for everyone to be participating into the tangible asset that is bringing into the digital space, another thing is on the ecosystem maturity on the 5th years onwards, they are planning to actually go for IPO. What's IPO? Meaning public listed. Okay. And this is not a new idea. Later, I'll tell you why. Okay. So, and with AssetVerse, it actually creates a digital ownership pathway. Okay. So, initial stage, yes, currently now you can access AssetVerse through or via a verified digital identity, meaning avatar. You can only use avatar for now. But other than that, after about 30 to about 60 days time, they are going to launch their NFT, meaning that every avatar that you have will convert into a real NFT that you can proudly own. Okay, so when that's happened, so you can basically own the NFT and you can also transfer the NFT to someone else if you want to liquidate. And this creates a very secure, auditable secondary transfer under regulation on each and every region or each and every country. Okay, meaning that all this real estate can be verifiable with real value, and through the verification, that actually give like, showing the SPA. Like this time around, we are going to basically bring to Europe, and of course, as we know, all this legal document we cannot publish online. Okay, but we will show it to you live. Okay. And how to be involved in AssetVerse? Very simple. And this time around, you do not need to actually have a whitelist. Okay, guys? So you can go in directly. But the minting method is 50% USDT only on Binance Smart Chain USDT. Later, I'll explain to you why not on Smart Chain. So Binance Smart Chain USDT, and then the other 50% will be in MDC. All right. Anyone who have MDC, congratulations. But if you don't have, then you might need to basically go to exchange or either contact your leaders who have MDC, then they might be able to actually transfer you the MDC. All right. So on the second minting method will be 50% USDT on Binance Smart Chain, 35% MDC, and 15% you can choose to actually use Mars, Rocket, or VU. Okay, these three tokens are also accepted by AssetVerse. And here, what AssetVerse is actually doing is actually helping MDC to create real utility behind the MDC token. And secondly, the reason why they are accepting MDC token is because they saw all the partnership projects that was in M3 DAO Capital that's in Thailand, and they are very interested in that as well. And that's the reason why they are more than willing and more than happy to actually accept MDC. So let's talk about the type of avatar that currently now available in the DApp. All right, it launched today at 12 p.m. CET, Central European Time. So type of avatar starting all the way from 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000 to 10,000. And the multiplier tier here is similar towards the leverage in DeFi on MCD. So you can see that this is the total value that you are going to get. If let's say you go for 100, you will get 400. This is the total value. But, okay, let me basically tell you, here's the but. Because why? All the total value actually is split into 50-50 again, okay, on the distribution. Meaning that 50% you are getting in AVU. And what's AVU? AVU, it's you can transfer to USDT on Binance Smart Chain. Now you get the point. Why they only accept USDT on Binance Smart Chain? First, because you are also getting back in Binance Smart Chain. And why is that? Because currently now, as we all know, USDT or when Binance first started USDT back then, actually almost all the exchanges doesn't really want to accept Binance Smart Chain USDT. It's the same because a new USDT is formed and it needs time to actually gain access towards the market. So currently now, most developers that we meet throughout the region, what they want is they wanted to actually get the USDT from Binance Smart Chain. So that's the reason why. So, and then another 50% here, you are going to basically get it in MC, all right? So some people say that I already have a lot of MC sitting in my DApp. Congratulations, because later I'm going to tell you what MCs will be able to do. And it's very interesting with what AssetVerse come up with. So here, there's also another thing. This is also another value creation. And this will have a limit, meaning that currently now there's only 2 million worth, all right? $2 million worth of avatar that will get the AVMDC, all right? What is AVMDC? Oh, is that the new token? No, it's actually same MDC token. Same MDC token, it's just that this come from AssetVerse. That's why it's named AVMDC in what they call it, the DApp itself, okay? So here, imagine today, I need you guys to basically make one thing very clear. Okay, if let's say today, now me myself, I didn't get one of any of the avatar. So what happened if let's say example, I found a community member. Let's say my community member is Kelvin. All right. So Kelvin basically goes for a 10K avatar on AssetVerse. What will happen? I'll get zero. I'll get nothing. If let's say I myself doesn't have an avatar for AssetVerse. Okay. So basically anyone in your community directly, directly, not like throughout the whole community, direct. So meaning if today I found Calvin and I myself, I have a 100 avatar. A 100 avatar, it basically give me 1% of a facilitation incentive. Meaning that if today Calvin is going for 10K, so what will I get? I'll get 1% of the 10K avatar. Because why? When we are in real estate, there can be an incentive to be shared. Okay? So if let's say today, Kelvin get a 10K avatar, what will I get? I'll get 100. Why 100? Because I myself only have a 100 avatar. But what if today, me, I have a 10K avatar? Okay, so 10K avatar, and then Kelvin is also getting a 10K avatar. So what would I get? I'll get a 5%. Okay, instead of 1%, I'm getting 5% of whatever Kelvin is buying. Now you understand? So let's say now I have another community members direct from me, which is Ben. All right. So here, Ben is getting a 5,000. So getting a 5,000, but me myself, I have a 10K avatar. So how much do I get? I also get 5%. Okay. I hope that this basically clear up on how you are going to get the incentive. One more note here that I wanted to basically share with you guys is regarding all this avatar. It actually will bring you about 25 to 35% annually. Okay, meaning that all the avatar will create value that is giving back to you. And all the values that you're getting, it will be split into 12 different months and every day. So all the incentive, all the basic, all the performance range that you are going to get, it's actually coming from the businesses that all AssetVerse is actually doing, either selling the units or either renting out the units and things like that. So all the 25 and 35%, you are going to actually get it in 50% and 50%. Okay, 50% AVU, 50% MC. So then let's talk about a monthly performance incentive. If let's say me, myself, I know that I need cash flow now. All right. So I need cash flow. So what do? Now, at least I don't need to basically share something that is actually, how to say, very volatile towards my friend, because I can share something that have a real asset that's backing it up. So, and here, I get my friend to actually, all my friends and family to actually put in 250K all in total. So that month itself, I will get 1% additional on top of whatever I already get. Okay, I'll get 1% additional. And you can see here for the facilitation incentive and also for the monthly performance is 100% AVU. And the AVU, you can actually get it once the transaction is verified, meaning that currently now Ben comes in. All right, Ben get avatar. So once the avatar is in his DM, and automatically you'll gain 100% of AVU. And the AVU, why AVU instead of just normal USDT? So when it's named AVU, meaning that you can basically withdraw without any limits. Okay, AVMDC is also the same. So here, there's a different on the AVMDC, and later I'll go into that. So you can see that all the performance incentive are a one-time recognition. Yeah, this is not recurrent. Okay, you cannot basically keep the volume for next month. It's a monthly thing, and this is a one-time recognition reward granted when contributors achieve a verified transaction volume within the ecosystem. These incentives are not recurring yields, investment returns, or license brokerage commission. So what about all these community members who are actually in the ecosystem? That example, I have M rank, I have my ranking. So here, congratulations, you guys will also be able to actually, gain from the network and also the data that you already built. Okay, so here it's quite similar with the current M ranking system in our M3 DAO. Okay, our mass first. So here M1 all the way up to M6. So this is the percentage that you get, but this doesn't come from the facilitation or the monthly performance. All right, it only comes from the annually 25 to 35%. So meaning that today, if let's say 1,000, the 10,000 is getting 35% this month. So 35%, you need to divide by 12 and divide by 30 days, and then you get how much you will be getting on a daily basis. And here, this M-Rank also provide that to you, but also in 50% AVU, 50% MC. The interesting part about AssetVerse, here's the key point. Okay, when we talk about an avatar or we talk about an NFT, normally, because why? We couldn't control the community whether they will basically dump tokens or not. But here, with real asset that's behind. So that's why for AssetVerse, they are willing to actually create a redemption option program. Okay. And later, on the later stage, you will understand why they have this. On the first year itself, if let's say I myself get a 10K avatar, okay? If I want to basically redeem back from AssetVerse, can I? Yes, you can. After the 12 month, meaning you need to complete the whole 12-month cycle, 1 year cycle, and then I can basically get up to 10% of my initial value. And some of you guys said, wow, I put in 10K, I only get 1K back. It doesn't make sense. Exactly. Because when we are talking about real estate, it's not flipping or speculative or volatile as cryptocurrency. So on the second year itself, they can increase the value up to 30%. On the third year itself, it will go up to 50%. And on the fourth year itself, it will become 100%, meaning you put in 10K, you've earned everything that you did. And then on the fourth year, if you say that enough, okay, I want to liquidate, I can sell back the NFT towards AssetVerse, and they are more than happy to actually buy back from you at the full price. Here's the catch. On the fifth year itself, they're more than willing to actually buy back or maybe let you redeem up to 200%. And why is that? Because the main purpose of AssetVerse is actually to go IPO, public listed. And later I'll talk about the PE value, and then you understand, oh, okay, now I understand why they can actually buy back or maybe let us redeem up to 200%. Okay, so here you can see that the redemption eligibility policy is here. So 1 year minimum. Holding period before a redemption eligibility, meaning that you need to basically go through the full 12 months. You buy it today, next year, the same day, and tomorrow, that's the day that you can actually start to redeem. Okay, so here's a disclaimer that I need to read it out so that you guys understand. All incentive benchmark values and benefit distribution described are illustrative and subject to DAO governance, market performance, and liquidity availability. They do not represent guaranteed returns, okay, interest payments, or investment solicitation, and do not constitute brokerage, financial, or advisory services in any jurisdiction. So AVMDC release regulation. Here's the key. Just now, AVMDC. It's going to basically release to you every 3 months. And how does it judge how much you will get? It's based on your performance. Meaning that today, me, myself, I have a 10K avatar. And my community also have a lot of 10K avatar. And that's how it's going to basically add up your dynamic, meaning that you're active, and also both your static, meaning that the return that's coming, the reward that's coming through the avatar for yourself. So add both of them up together, then that divide by the MDC price. Then you will know how many MDC you will receive. Okay, that's how it's calculated. So basically, here's also another disclaimer. So fractionalized accept model concept. AssetVerse offers access to diversified portfolio and real estate across Southeast Asia. The fractional access model aligns traditional asset structures with tokenized efficiency. And on the legal position and also the compliance statement here also, AssetVerse operates as a digital access network aligned with local property and DAO regulation. No tokens or unit represents a security, share, or investment contract. All right. And the bottom disclaimer, this presentation outlines a fractional access model, concepts subject to local law and regulatory approval. Figures and returns are illustrative within the framework and not promises of performance. All participation in AssetVerse is voluntary and provides access to digital rights and education within the AssetVerse. No slides or example herein should be interpreted as an offer or solicitation of securities or investment. Okay, so once we understand about AssetVerse, now here's the interesting part. I mentioned just now, actually, we are not the first in the world to actually do this, but we are definitely the first in the world to actually make it fractionalized. Okay, that's the interesting part. So you can see that actually now, when we talk about real asset and when we talk about Web3 business, we I bet that all of you guys know what Tron Chain is. Okay, Tron. So Tron Chain, you can see that Tron Chain is also publicly listed now in Nasdaq. So you can see that a lot of cryptocurrency projects or even institutions, they are definitely going back into the Web2 world. They're going back into the RWA. That's why Tron Chain is also listed now on Nasdaq rather than just purely on the Web3 space. Secondly, this is Animoca. Animoca is a very well-known and very famous incubator, venture capitalist, and they themselves are also recently doing a reverse takeover of Current Group. So you can see that Current Group now is basically 95% is owned by Animoca. You can see here, all right, approximately 95% that's owned by Animoca. And they are also going back into real estate. Okay, this is also something that very interesting. So you can see that Animoca, although it's a Web3 incubator, it's a Web3 VC, and now they are going into real estate as well. And this is their share, all right? They just listed, if I'm not mistaken, just a few days ago, or maybe a week ago. Okay, it's very new, it's very fresh. So this is Animoca, okay? So other than that, I want to share something with you guys. Why going public listed is so important, and why can AssetVerse buy back or maybe let you redeem up to 200% on the 5th year itself. But before I go into that topic, let's talk about another interesting thing, because a lot of people, I bet that you guys are very eager to listen. How am I going to utilize my MC? You see, so here, AssetVerse is actually helping our whole ecosystem by actually creating a very healthy cycle. Example, AssetVerse now, they have real asset that's going to back all the NFT, all the digital asset. Good thing. Secondly, because it's fractionalized, I can transfer, I can liquidate. If let's say I need money, I can liquidate to my friends. No problem at all. And when we talk about how to say incentive, why they can pay you in USDT, because when we talk about real estate, yeah, they can pay commission. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why. And fourth thing, it actually creates real utility towards the tokens, especially like MDC. So it creates a real value, it creates the real demand, because everyone who wanted to get involved in AssetVerse, you need to have MDC. If you don't, you can go to Max Exchange to actually buy MDC. And this will greatly help to increase the value and also the price of MDC, because there's not much MDC in the market at this point of time, because MDC vesting period is 60 months. So that this will greatly help to increase the value of MDC and also bring traffic towards Mass Exchange. Good news. And as I mentioned just now, AssetVerse, they started a very interesting program here together with MC. And this also let us M3 DAO goes back to our promises of having MC, and you can utilize the MC. And how it's going to use, I'll share with you now. I'm not sure you guys know about this brand, Labubu. This is actually what they call that, a doll, a collectibles that is very famous throughout the world. People are going crazy, queuing up. But the whole concept behind Labubu, if let's say they're just selling a doll, it might not be a very huge news, I would say. Okay, so people might already forget about them tomorrow. But they started by using a very interesting concept, which is called a blind box. A blind box meaning that you don't know what's in the box. There will be a hidden gem, okay, meaning the super rare collectibles that you can find in all the blind boxes, but you don't know what you get. Okay, you can only basically guess. Sometimes you will get a normal Labubu, but sometimes you will get a super rare one. It's either you can sell it for a very high price, or you can basically just keep it as your own what do you call that, collectibles. Why I want to talk about Labubu? Because they use this concept, and just talking about toys, all right, it might not sound very interesting, but this company is already publicly listed, PopMart. Okay, PopMart is the mother company, and you can see one share is even more expensive than Tron Chain. Tron Chain is only $2.2. And talk about this one, the project, the publicly listed company that Animoca took over is only $3. And just look at this one. Those two are, we are talking about financial company. And when we talk about price on a toys or even a collectibles share price, look at the share price. It's easily way higher than Tron or current. Okay, so you can see that it's on $28 in Nasdaq, and just by basically using a concept of blind box. And also another thing, let's look at here. They are not only listed in the US, they are also probably listed in Hong Kong as well. And this is Hong Kong dollar, so 220 Hong Kong dollar for the company is huge. All right, so meaning you can see that the concept definitely works. And this is also the first in the world whereby AssetVerse is going to combine the blind box concept into AssetVerse. Okay. And before I go back to basically explain to you how the blind box will work, let me talk about this, the PE ratio. Okay, when you look at the PE ratio here, this is very important when we talk about public listed company. All right, so why this is so important? The PE ratio 14.2, meaning that imagine if, let's say, PopMart have an asset worth of 1 billion, let's say, okay? So with a PE value of 40.2, meaning now in their hand, all right, with the real the real value of the market now is actually at 40.2 billion, meaning you times 40 times. So that is why people want to go public listed, and that is why when we go public listed or as ever go public listed, they will be able to actually let you redeem at double the price. Now you get the point, right? So when we talk about MC, all right, let's get back to MC. MC basically it's going to basically create a new pathway for all of us to be involved and utilize MC. And MC there will be different tier of blind box. Okay, of course, the lowest tier of blind box you will be able to get a smaller amount of prizes. But if let's say you go for the highest tier, in example, if there will be NFT puzzle piece contained in the blind box, and you can basically collect, imagine 15 pieces of the puzzle, okay, and you can exchange for one real estate under your own name, example condotel. So this is very interesting. You can only utilize your MC, which is sitting now in your DApp, and you can basically win big. All right. So with this concept of the blind box, inside the blind box will contain Bitcoin, Ethereum, ACMM, USDT, gift from caviar like watches, jewelry, even cars, everything is possible. So this is a very interesting concept whereby you can utilize your MC and make it into something valuable. And you might even be lucky enough to actually open up the blind box and one unit, one whole real estate belongs to you. Okay, so this is a very interesting part that we are actually looking into, and most probably it will go live before Christmas, because why? We wanted to actually celebrate Christmas with everyone. So that's why it will launch on the blind box before Christmas time. Okay, so basically this is all about AssetVerse. If you haven't get your AssetVerse avatar now, do it now. Because why? Right after the 2 million threshold, the cap, of course, AssetVerse will continue to basically go on. It's just that you will no longer have the chance to get MDC, or maybe the volume of MDC that you get will decrease. Okay, so thank you for your time. I hope you all can basically digest whatever I just shared with you guys, and there will be a recordings, and I'll share the recordings into multiple groups so you can basically rewatch this. If let's say you have any questions, you can basically check with your core partners or even CIH, because both core partners and CIH has been through this call 3 different times. So I bet that they already fully understand how the whole mechanism works and why AssetVerse is definitely the future of M3 DAO and also the future for you. Because why? We do not need to only speculate on tokens. We can basically have something to fall back into, which is a real estate, a real tangible asset, and it's verifiable auditable, and they are willing to share with us. We can bring the SPA to European countries to meet you guys, and you can see it with your own eyes. So thank you for your time, and hunting mode, and let's go. See you guys. Bye bye.